and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. This is Netflix's 194th film from 2019, a Christmas comedy, The Night Before Christmas, directed by Monika Mitchell. It stars Vanessa Hudgens, Josh Whitehouse, and Emmanuelle Chirqui. I'm Jesse, and I'm with MJ. How are you?
I am very, very well. How are you?
Good. Christmas feels again. We love the Christmas feels.
Christmas feels. I did say a few weeks ago before we started doing Christmas films that it'll be interesting checking out these Christmas films in the middle of the year. Like, Christmas films have that magic to them that you can probably give them a little bit of a bump up when you watch them around Christmas time, because that's what you're searching for. You're searching for that Christmas vibe. So we're watching these films out of season, and it's like, when have you ever done that in your life? When have you just, like, in the middle of June just put a Christmas movie on? It just doesn't happen. So it is interesting.
That's super true. And who knows, people might be listening to this around Christmas time anyway. So Merry Christmas to you if you are.
That's very true. That's very, very true. And please take our Grinch-esque attitudes with a grain of salt, because it's the middle of June here in Melbourne, and it's cold, and Christmas in Australia is nice and warm. So this doesn't even feel like Christmas for us.
So true. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk. Start off with our fast flicks, where we do a quick summary. What's this one all about, MJ?
This movie is about a 14th century knight who finds himself in modern day suburban America on the eve of Christmas.
Nice. Good. Yeah. I've used the same word. A knight travels to the future to prove his worth by falling in love and helping others.
That's it. That's the movie.
Sorry, spoiler alert too, if you want to watch this one. Give us a pause and come back later. But if I'm sure you don't care if you're listening.
Similarly, if you look at the poster of this movie, you can probably decipher what the fast flicks is without watching it.
It's so true. So true. All right. Well, what did you learn about how this one was put together?
There's not a heap of information on the production of this film, which is also not uncommon with these kind of Christmas films that feel quite run of the mill. It's not dissimilar to all the Hallmark Christmas films that they're just basically getting as many out as they can and hoping one or two stick. So the only difference with this one, it's got semi big name actress in it to really bump it up, which Netflix can do. But filming took place in Orillia and Bracebridge in Ontario, Canada, between April and May in 2019. The Norwich Castle scenes were actually filmed in Tullamore, Ireland. So they actually went to Ireland to shoot those scenes. I feel like they could have cheated that somewhere else. But credit to them, they did it. And that's all I've really got about the production. It was filmed across those 2 months, the start of 2019. And then it released in November. It's a really quick turnaround, considering they start shooting in April. People are watching it in November. And that's the movie. The only thing that I did want to add, which I found on IMDb in the trivia section, which a lot of it is just rubbish. And this is one that I really liked. I think it was, how you can click whether you think it was interesting or not. This was like 7 of 9 people found this fact interesting. Sir Cole in the movie has perfect teeth. It was very, very nice mouth of teeth. But it would have been a lot more likely that he would have been missing a few. He's in the 1300s. He's a knight. They didn't have great dental back then. And that's a really good point. I think this movie would have been a lot better if he had, like, a few missing teeth, a couple of brown ones. Really true to what it really would have been. I love that someone put that in. And then 7 of 9 people were like, oh, that's a good point.
Scraping the barrel. A good one. A very good one. The only other thing, I guess, it was nominated for a few awards. Nominated for 3 awards. It won an award for Best Costume Design at the TV Movie Leo Awards. For a TV movie at the Leo Awards. So well on. But for me, I guess, and I mentioned this a long time ago when we did one of these other films. This is all part of that Netflix Christmas multiverse, which is cool. And I think it was only a few weeks ago that we looked at the Rob Lowe, was it Holiday or Christmas in the Wild? And just to see that on the TV in the background was sort of made me have a bit of a chuckle, a bit of a giggle to see that, these were released pretty close together realistically. So
I forgot that was a Christmas movie. Even when I was watching that in the movie, that they sit down, and they've done this a bunch of times now with these Netflix Christmas movies. And to be honest, I kind of like it. It's cheesy, but it's kind of like a nod to them. themselves, which it's fine with me. But when that Holiday in the Wild one came on, I was like, oh, that wasn't a Christmas movie, but fair enough that they're doing it. And it's only that you've mentioned it now, I'm like, that actually kind of was a Christmas movie. But I just don't even think of it as one.
And then the holiday calendar was playing as well on the TV.
Yep.
And the other reference was when they were decorating the Christmas tree, there's like the acorn ornament, which is a reference to Aldovia, which was in The Christmas Prince, which was one that I liked. So
that was a strong link, right? This whole multiverse thing, like Aldovia is a fictional place. And in this universe where knights travel in time, Aldovia and this Christmas Prince, they all exist. So I don't mind it. They can keep doing this.
The tagline for this one, did you see the tagline?
No.
It was a modern day romance with a medieval twist.
Oh yeah, that's all right.
I'd pay it. The only other thing I looked into were the translations around the world. So in Portuguese, this was called A Past of Present. It removes the Christmas words from this one, I guess. In French, it was called The Alchemy of Christmas. In Japanese, it was The Christmas Knight Who Fell in Love. And in Chinese, it was The Night Through Time. So again, Chinese takes the Christmas element out of it too.
So, but the night before Christmas is obviously a very common term that we know. And if that term doesn't exist in another culture, then that title doesn't work at all. Correct. And that's why you probably do need to make that change. Consensus. What were critics and audiences saying about this? It is. So this surprised me that IMDb only has 18,000 ratings. I for some reason I thought this film was kind of like one of the big Christmas ones when it came out, but it must not have been. Must have been the other Vanessa Hudgens, the Princess Switch or whatever. Was that a Christmas movie? It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was, yeah.
For some reason I thought this was quite big in terms of the Imperial Center, but it's a 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb of 18,000 ratings. And it's a pretty low 2.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and that's 21,500 ratings. So yeah, it's not great, but I mean, this movie is never going to win an Oscar.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes, it's fresh, not certified. It's only on 21 reviews, but fresh from the critics. Audience a bit lower, I guess, more in line with what we're seeing on the others, but 41% on over 250 ratings. So
this movie was fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, 67% on 21 reviews.
Interesting. I would not have picked that.
Yeah. All right. Well, your early thoughts on this one. What are you thinking?
I mean, this is kind of what I expected it to be. Probably like half an hour in, I was like, it's terrible. Like, it's a terrible movie. What am I watching here? And then, like you expect in like these kind of movies, it gets cozy. You get familiar with the characters, and I mean, I was kind of interested, but I never really got into it. But also, I never expected to get into it.
Yeah, it's a cookie cutter Christmas movie that sits finally amongst Netflix other holiday offerings.
Yeah,
that's all I'm giving.
They've got some good ones. Netflix.
They have.
I mean, we saw Klaus a couple of weeks ago. So
there's not a lot you can, like you mentioned, you see what this is about, and you know exactly what you're going to get, and as long as it doesn't deviate too much from that line. I mean, sometimes if they do deviate, it's in a good way, but you don't want to deviate where it's complete rubbish. So,
but it is interesting when you think about like the Christmas Chronicles that they've done. Actually, I don't know for sure, but do they have those same links in those movies to these ones with the holiday calendar and Christmas Prince? I feel like they're like, we've actually got good Christmas movies too that we're going to keep separate. But these cheesy ones that, you want to chuck them on on the 15th of December just to get into the mood. Like, they're having fun with it, and you said cookie cutter.
I listened to, it was like, there's a podcast called The Business Wars, and they do little series on businesses sort of fighting against each other, not fighting, but like competing against each other. And they did one on the Christmas movie sort of idea. So it was like the Hallmark channel and the competition, and then Netflix arriving on the scene. So realistically, these types of movies maybe aren't necessarily made. They're more made for competition purposes, like that they follow the structure and the format of Hallmark movies to take away from, a competitor. So very interesting.
Whereas quantity becomes an important thing too. Let's get as many out there as we can.
Sure does. All right, characters. I don't have an awful lot to say because it's very generic, but I'm sure you'll do an excellent job at filling us in.
Don't say that. Now I've got to try and find something that's not there. let's start with Brooke. Vanessa Hudgens. I love Vanessa Hudgens as a High School Musical fan from way back. Gabriella Montez has always got a soft spot in my heart, but Brooke, struggling to really take anything out of her. But I guess I'm going to say she's quite independent. We meet this girl who is obviously recently single. She's had her heart broken, so her walls are up a little bit. You get the idea very quickly that she deserves a man who's going to treat her like she deserves because she loves her family. She's a great role model. I don't think I'm ever going to understand why she would weirdly take in a stranger who is showing pretty bizarre signs of head trauma or some kind of mental health or personality disorder. It's absolutely wild when you think about it for her to be like, I've got a spare room. Nah, he's fine. You going to take him to the police station? Nah, don't put him in a cell. Let's take him to my house. That's a real blocker for this story because it's such an important part of the plot. And I don't think I'm ever going to understand that part of her character, but everything else is just like, here's this girl who we like her anyway on her own terms. She doesn't need a man, but we'd love her to be happy, especially around the holidays. And hopefully she finds someone. That's kind of the Brooke that we meet.
Yeah, I just tried to put it all into like one big sentence for each one. So she's a teacher trying to recover from a broken heart, got dead parents, there's a cop-like father figure, all the usual cliches. Done.
Yep. Good role model to the niece. Like she's she's like a surrogate mum in a sense. Yeah.
All right. Who have you got next?
I've got Cole next, and I've got no one after Cole, so I'm going to be interested to see what you've got next. Sir Cole, my apologies.
Sorry.
He's from the 1300s, so he operates with a pretty different moral compass, very different etiquette guide to what we're used to, which is basically supposed to be the humor of the concept of this film. How funny is it that a guy does these things that we don't do? That's crazy. I think he kind of accepts his situation way too easily. The idea that he's traveled in time. Secondly, just the world's an entirely different place, and he's like, okay, I'm getting a feel for this. I watch telly all night, so I know how you talk. But with that said, I also don't mind that we didn't spend like half an hour with him just rejecting this idea that he's gone through time and can't figure it out. So that I cut up some slack there. Yeah. It probably isn't. He's such a historical character from such a specific part of time, and it's probably for the part that I wouldn't expect that I'd really like this in a film. It doesn't really work for me, but he should sort of be. If you're a knight from the 1300s, he's not going to be this like romantic guy that we think he is. There's so many more important things in their lives in those days, and it's all about honor and integrity and. I'm above you on the pecking order. And he basically said like he fell in love once with someone, but like love wasn't really a thing back then. You probably get told who you got to marry because it works for your family. But this guy's a real sucker for love. And I think that's kind of trying to tap into what maybe people should have been or would have been like then if it wasn't so segregated by rules of the way they should live. So that's an interesting call. It's not the sort of thing you'd expect from a knight, but maybe they just needed to be pushed into the modern day to see what love really is.
I think you gave him more depth than anyone that put a touch on this script could have possibly imagined. So well done. You should be working on these Christmas films.
Maybe.
The only really thing I'll harp on from there is that I completely agree. Like I didn't for 1 second believe his inability to it was just like you mentioned. Maybe it ties back to the thing you said about the teeth. Like there was no part of me that didn't see him as not being able to adapt, or it was just weird. It didn't, like you said, I think you're probably thankful that they didn't spend a long time, putting the emphasis on him struggling with situations. But at the same time, it was just a little bit of a too quick sort of turnaround. Like it was like, cool, yeah, I'm good now. Yeah.
Very true. And it's it's a crap movie if it's the other way around, but yeah, it's hard not to forgive.
And then it obviously follows that, common thing that we see in 99% of films is there's a quest, and his quest is to fulfill a prophet. Fulfill what the prophet wants him to do, and what else can you expect from a character like this that time travels and and I'll probably talk about this later. There was never a negative moment from this guy. He was just super sugary sweet. There was nothing that he was going to do. Like, sometimes you like to see a character that has their ups and downs. There was none of that with him. He was just, I'm here to learn. I'm here to do the right thing, and that's that.
When you really break down this movie, though, he has to fulfill a prophecy. He doesn't know what the prophecy is at the time, but we know the prophecy is you have to fall in love. We're watching a movie where the main goal is for someone to fall in love. So nothing bad is going to happen in this movie. And nothing bad does happen. They kind of try and force it a little bit by having 10 minutes where one of the girls gets just lost in the snow. But nothing bad is ever going to happen in this movie. There's nothing. Exactly. We're just like, oh, what are you going to do? Oh, we got to set up for Christmas, but we got a few days off anyway, so we got time to do it. That's the movie.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Yeah. I had Madison, the sister, down as well, just because I thought, to me, she resembled a hype girl. It's like, yeah, Cole's great. My daughter's great. My daughter cares for others. My husband travels for work, but he's also great. And I work really hard because my shop's busy, and that's like her. She's just this, I'm there to hype you. Yeah.
She didn't seem that positive to me, though. She always seemed like everything was a little bit hard, which felt a little bit more realistic. But
realistic.
You took more out of her than I could. She was fine, but.
And the only other, I just got nothing to say, but that Allison character, just WTF. That's all I'm saying.
Was she supposed? Hang on. So was Allison the neighbor?
Yeah, the one who's got an interest.
Yeah, so she comes in and we're like, oh, she's gonna throw a spanner in the works for what's going on with Cole and Brooke, and turns out she's kind of pretty cool and pretty oh, maybe you should go chase Brooke because it looks like you like her.
Okay, sure. I'll probably talk about that a bit later, but oh god, yeah. All right, director Monika Mitchell. 32 direction credits.
Mostly TV movies and a few Christmas ones in there. So this is what we just spoke about at the start. Netflix is trying to build their catalog of Christmas movies. Get someone in who knows how to do it. Probably knows how to do it quick and efficiently. Give her Vanessa Hudgens, and even to an extent Emmanuelle Chirqui. There's more than she's probably ever worked with, and see what can happen. That's kind of the crux of her.
Exactly. And also obviously impressed Netflix because they gave her there's a 2022 film called Brazen, which is based on a Nora Roberts book, so famous author, starring Alyssa Milano. So, that giving her the trust to work with another big name, and guessing similar sort of film, or themes of a film based on novel Roberts. Yeah.
I have not heard from Alyssa Milano in some time.
A long time, yeah. All right, let's talk about scenes. What are some ones you liked?
This is really sad. I've only got one scene that I liked, one moment that I liked, but it's probably not even my favorite moment of the movie. It just made me laugh. Is when they're at the diner and he just yells, "Another one, wench!" I thought that was great. I guess it's normal for him to be at a pub setting, and that's what they do. They just bring you more ale or whatever it is. And he just did it, and I liked everyone's reaction to it too. Everyone was just like, "What the hell, dude? You can't do that." And Brooke was mortified immediately. So that was great. But that's kind of sad. That's all I had. But I'm trying to think what did I like? And I didn't hate everything in this film, but it was nothing stands out. Everything just kind of happens. So yeah, another one, wench.
Exactly the same scene. I liked the douche joke about the ex-boyfriend.
The use of the word douche was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very good. The only other thing I put in there, which isn't even really part of the movie, was the post-credit scene, because that actually got me excited, where you've got the crone lady with the brother Jeffrey, and I was like, ooh, this is
got you excited, did it?
Yeah, it got me excited. Because I was like, oh,
so
we know where the sequel's going.
Well, I think last week when you said, oh, the next movie we have is Night Before Christmas, and I think I said to you, have they got a sequel? And I don't think they do. And I actually looked, and I don't think they have one planned either. Because I did Google this, because I'm like, and here's the deal, I didn't really love this film. If they do a sequel, I don't want to see the same story again with some other dude. I want to go back to Brooke and Cole, see where they're at.
But he might come and try and steal Brooke. That might be the
wow
tension. We might get some actual tension.
No, they're brothers. They're very noble and
No, I
maybe he'll go for the
nobility.
neighbor. He'll go for Allison.
Nobility. Forgot about nobility. All right. What are some things that you didn't like?
And look, similar to this, I've only got 3 things I didn't like, and they're the things that really stood out for me. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have because I think it'll be a good laugh. But firstly, in no way in the world am I lending this man my car. I think regardless of whether you think that he's got like a bit of a mental problem where he's blocked out who he really is, she's like, have you remembered how to drive now? It's like, no, this guy, firstly, can't drive. Secondly, I just wouldn't lend him my car anyway. So that led to a scene which was just unnecessary of him driving. So I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Probably the worst shot or scene in the movie was at the grocery store when he was just eating all the bread rolls in the background. It's like, we need to distract Brooks somehow so he can be really funny in the background. So let's just have him eating bread rolls and whatever. And it was just ridiculous. When he got like 15 cans of hot chocolate as well, not working for me. And the other thing I didn't like, so these are not actual seeds as much as like reasoning that characters tried to figure out what they were doing. How on earth did those girls get lost in the snow? Like, they just like kept walking. I thought they were just going out to the backyard and having a play, and then they ended up on the lake.
That snow was pretty heavy, so it's
it was
visibility levels are low.
Sure, so don't walk very far. Like the only reason that you're going to get in trouble is if you just keep walking. So, it didn't. And that was again like, hey, we've got to build some tension. We've got to build something that goes wrong in this movie, and that was it. And it was pretty crap.
Good. Whenever Brooke saw her ex-boyfriend James, just the awkward turns and the camera positioning, like I just laughed. I was like,
yeah,
it was awkward to watch. The hot chocolate meat cute. Come on, like, do we really need that? Yeah.
Of course we needed that. It's a meat cute.
Yeah. At the house, like Cole was like, go use the bathroom, just knowing exactly that he was going to walk out around that corner without his shirt off was ridiculous. Like, yes, it was going to happen, and we didn't need it. Didn't need to see him with the shirt off because he was oiled up like there was no tomorrow.
Also, didn't have the kind, like, he's a fit man, he looked fine, but he didn't have like the breathtaking rig that you were like, oh, look at that. So fair enough too. I thought something funny was going to happen there, like he's going to drop his towel, or he was like, what's this thing that we use to dry ourselves? But no, it was just him walking back and forth in a towel.
Yeah. I think there was a line where I think Brooke just said, girls can be whatever they want. It was just like chucked in there when she's talking to the niece for no reason, no follow-up, no explanation why that was important. It was like, cool, that's a nice line, we'll just put it in there, but it had no context to the situation. And
it's because didn't she say she said, can girls be knights? And he's like, no, they can't. He's like, don't be ridiculous. And then she's like, yeah, they can. No, suppose, yeah,
but
they
still,
could have built
like,
on that.
But then you could have like had a conversation with Colin being like, this is how our society is now, rather than just being like,
turn your backward thoughts around. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
That's a very good point.
I think every interruption when they went to kiss just annoyed me. Like the amount of times the phone went off or someone walked in, too many times. And then this annoyed you obviously, but the Cole just being the excellent tracker in the woods, like, oh, there's a footprint. Oh, there's the hand on the wood on the tree. Oh, they must be this way. Oh God, give me a break. And the last thing I'm just putting in here is for Allison, because that mistletoe scene at the end where she's just like, the mistletoe's for someone you should care about, and he's just like, oh yeah, okay, cool. When she was
very strange,
didn't even need her.
Very strange. That just highlights how good this film is. How wholesome this film is. That the person they bring in that you think is going to disrupt it actually like, nah, I'm on your team as well. Yeah. Everyone's happy. Yeah, we all love you.
I was a bully at school, but I'm cool now. Yeah. What was this one trying to say? What are some ideas?
Some ideas. This movie is talking about love and family and giving and magic, literal magic, and the magic of Christmas all combined. It is not necessarily going into depth for any of them, but they're all really important. Like, the idea of family, very important. We know how important family is, and the idea of her being close with her parents and therefore with her sister and her niece. But the idea of giving is a big one. That like they literally have a like I could guess a charity auction type thing, or not auction, a charity thing every single year to to give, and Christmas is all about giving, and then that comes out pretty strongly. But they're not really going that hard on anything. That it's just kind of all there, which is what has to be in a Christmas movie, right?
Yeah, I think you're completely right. The idea that just because you can't explain something logically doesn't mean it can't happen. And Xmas or Christmas is about giving, like you said, and you can achieve anything in your life if you want it bad enough. This one was a bit lame, but I thought it was a good little analogy, like the idea of opening up like a physical box of untouched family Christmas decorations. Like they sit there, and that gives you that moment to be able to let yourself free and become closer to someone. You mentioned fantasy, that idea of fantasy too, especially with love. Love does hurt it and suck at times. And we see that through Brooke at the start. And there's a bit of a fish out of water idea too, that Cole, this isn't his location, so he's giving it a crack at least. All right,
handles it very well too.
What did you take away from this one?
This movie, and I would love someone at Netflix to confirm this with me. It feels like someone thought of the title and then decided to make a movie. It's called The Night Before Christmas. What if it's a night with a K? Oh, The Night Before Christmas. And they thought of that, and they're like, all right, let's think of an idea after thinking. I swear that has to be how this movie got made. I don't think they were like, let's have someone from the 1300s come forward in time and live in modern day America, and it's Christmas time. They definitely had the idea of the title first. I'm swearing by it. It has to have been that way.
Really, really good pick or call.
Yeah. The other takeaway I have is the pairing of Vanessa Hudgens and Emmanuelle Chirqui as sisters is an all-time casting move. They are excellent sisters. They're two well-known enough actresses who look kind of similar. I think a lot of guys especially would enjoy them in most things that they're in, and they put them together as sisters. I'm like, great, you guys nailed this. They could be sisters. Well done.
Nice, good. This shook me. This shook me to my core. Netflix using Amazon's Alexa. Amazon is like one of their big competing partners, and Alexa gets a pretty good run in this.
Very good run.
I just thought that was an interesting call that Netflix were happy to, and obviously it's you think of Alexa straight away and you think Amazon. So I just thought it was interesting that they decided to go with a competing one rather than going like a Google, which aren't really in the streaming wars with them.
It's a good point. I guess the only argument would be is that Netflix doesn't really have skin in the game in the voice assistant area, but it's a good point.
All right. Did you go into IMDb to look anyone up?
I did not, no. Big fan of Hudgens, as I said. Big fan of Chirqui as an Entourage fan. But no, everyone else was either not known to me or known.
Yeah, same. Didn't even bother. Questions. I got a couple. So have you got some?
Only one I have. Don't know how you're going to answer it because it's a plot thing, but the old crone. So did she have Brooke in mind for Cole? Was she like, I got this girl in the future. I think you guys would be perfect together. So I'm going to send you there and hope that you guys meet. Or did she just want to send him to the future to fall in love because, love is quite different in the future? What was her reasoning? Did she have a plan?
Well, I guess that sort of depends on whether you believe that the Mrs. Claus in the future was actually the crone lady or not, or whether that was just Cole imagining her as her. So I think if that was her transforming her figure into Mrs. Claus and backwards and forwards, then I would suggest probably she did have her in mind.
Yep. Yeah, I that's what I think as well. I do think that, but worth the question.
Yeah, good one.
Good answer too, Jesse.
Thank you. Did this bring back memories of Ohio for you?
Yeah, I did notice that they were in Ohio. For what it's worth, when I went to Cleveland, it was like a week after Christmas, and we went, and there was a lot of Christmas stuff set up. But no, it didn't bring back memories. It's a little bit different.
Good. The culture shock in this, and like I sort of touched on this. Surely it could have been done a little bit better to start off with, like some humorous moments. Like it's funny you put someone like a fish out of water. So why didn't they play with some humor?
Yeah, and that's what I don't know. I just assumed they kind of did, and I just didn't get it. But maybe no, they didn't really. That's the whole premise. Is how funny would it be if
Yeah.
I took a selfie with him within the first few minutes. Like they just like, and like he wouldn't have like, let alone know what a photo is,
out,
like a phone, and like there's like girls, young girls, like who wouldn't be allowed to talk to him normally. I don't know, crazy.
And you've already sort of touched on this anyway, but after Brooke hit him with the car, like I know that you were like couldn't understand why she'd take him back to the house. Why would you even go to the hospital with him?
That's true. That's
you could be charged for a crime. Like if he dies, you killed the guy, and you're going to go witness and be like, yeah, cool, arrest me now. I've killed him. I don't know.
I mean, like if she had been arrested, they were pretty sure who it was. But but I guess you could almost let that one go because there's a level of guilt or whatever that you feel for hitting him and no one else is around. But I don't think that level of guilt applies to. Live with me, please.
Yeah, it's probably more. Vanessa Hudgens, you like her, I like her. The Princess Switch, and there's 3 of them, and this, is she being typecast into just doing these types of films? Is she better than that? Like,
it's a good point. I mean, for what it's worth, she's remaining relevant. The Princess Switch is obviously quite big, but then she does do things like Spring Breakers and what's that one that she was in? That cool one with Emily. Sucker Punch. She's in Sucker Punch as well. Like she does do some cool stuff too. I guess it's you do one of these Christmas movies because it pops up and that's fine. And then all of a sudden it becomes a bit of a franchise. It's kind of hard to handle, but maybe she's being typecast, and if not, like if so, then she's having fun with it. I don't hate it.
I mean, yeah, she was probably the best thing in it. She does the role really well.
She's fine.
Last one. A knight's true quest challenges his innermost weakness, love. Why does love need to be a weakness?
It's a good point. I don't think it should be, but maybe it was back then.
There you go. I like that. I like that too. That's because it wasn't about love, like you mentioned earlier. It was about who.
That's why she had to pry him bloody 700 years into the future, because it took that long for the world to be okay with love being the dominating emotion.
Yeah. It was all about who you were thrown to, or who you're forced to marry, I guess. Yeah, excellent. I like that. Amazing. What a nice way to finish it off. Let's give our final thoughts and give it a rating out of 5. What are you going to give it?
Yeah, I struggled with this one in terms of it being an out of season watch. I think when that magic of Christmas stuff hits, I normally get giddy as a schoolgirl with this, but that never really got me on this one. So I need to be aware of the fact that I was watching this very removed from Christmas. But other than that, it still didn't do much for me. But I'm feeling a little bit generous, maybe the Hudgens factor, but I'm going to still give it 2 stars.
Nice, yeah. Sickly, pure wholesomeness. I mean, it doesn't offend, doesn't have a real villain, doesn't have any big issues to solve. It's, if you're into Christmas movies, just jump on for the ride and you'll probably enjoy it. But yeah, I'm giving it a 2 as well.
It doesn't have a villain. You're right. Like, who's the villain?
The Allison chick.
You could argue that the old crone is for just like plucking him out and throwing him there, but
she's doing a good thing by him though. So.
I know. There's no villain. There's not even like close to being a villain.
No, God, too sweet.
There's not.
We're all over social. Give us a follow if you can. Just wanted to theme this in like as a question. What do you use the most? Do you use Siri, Google, or Alexa?
I have Siri. I don't really use, but I do have a Google Home and I have an Alexa. But a lot of them are to do with my job.
Oh, good. Yeah, I obviously I have Siri on my phone as well, but I don't really use it. But yeah, we have a Google Home which we use quite a bit. So yeah, interesting.
I do use the Google more than I use the Alexa. The Alexa I just have in my study for work stuff. So
yeah, cool. All right. We'll be back next week. Another film from 2019. It's the epic crime drama, The Irishman. It's directed by Martin Scorsese. Stars Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Al Pacino, Harvey Keitel, Anna Paquin, Ray Romano, Stephen Graham, and Bobby Cannavale. Spoiler alert, we have pre-recorded this one quite a while ago with a couple of guests on this one as well. So we're not going to re-record it. So we're going to repost our special episode from 2019.
We did it when it launched. Yeah, we got on the Irishman bandwagon like a lot of people.
Yeah, so if you're keen to hear that one, listen out next week and that'll be in your feed. Other than that,
I might have a re-listen.
It's a long one, very long one. I think it's about an hour and a half.
Not as long as the movie.
It's our longest ever episode, I think. So if you've got the time, give it a listen. But
I think
other than that, it's been a pleasure as always, and we're nearly done with the Christmas movies. I think there's one or two more to go.
Okay, so there's still a couple.
Goodness, but it's been good, and I'll speak to you soon.
See you next time.